Okay, so I believe I'm live right now. Okay, all right. So I'm just going to get started. Hopefully, I'm live. If you can hear me, if you can see me, just say something in the chat. All right. So I want to work on this character today, and I thought why not come on here and share the process. So yeah, this is my reference board. This is the main character that I want to work on, and I'm going to sculpt the face today. So I'll be here for about an hour, and I'm going to try to sculpt the face. So this is the reference. This is the kind of style I'm going for. And yeah, let's get started. Okay. Inside of Blender, just move this out and let me set up my workspace for sculpting. I'm going to delete everything, and then I'm going to add in a new round cube, and I'll switch to the sculpting workspace. And let me set this up for sculpting. Under view, I'm going to go to focal length. I'll change this to 150. Make sure symmetry is turned on, and I'll just split up my viewport here. And I'm going to toggle off overlays and the gizmos. I'll also close this panel right here. And I'll bring my references over here. All right, and let me start sculpting the face. Okay, so with the grab brush, let me actually Control-C, Control-V this, and just going to crop this so that I can have a better view of the face side by side with my reference. Okay, so now I am going to use the grab brush. I'm just going to start sculpting the face. Line project brush. I'll cut off this side of the head, and I'll also shape this from the side. Something like this is fine. And now I'm going to use the crease polish brush. I'll mark out the under of the head, the separation of the jaw and the cranium. And then I'm just going to pull this up. I'll smooth out the back of the head. And let's make this shape nicer. I'll use the grab brush and I'll pull this out. Okay. Can anyone hear me? If you can hear me, just type hi in the chat so that I'll know if I'm actually live or not. Okay. And then I'm going to use the grab brush and I'll just pull this up. Okay. All right. M6. All right. Hello. And then I'm just going to bring this and I'll smooth it out. Okay. Let me block out the neck. I'm going to use another round cube. Okay, yeah, you guys can hear me. That's cool. All right, and then I'm going to go into edit mode. I'll scale this down, and I'll bring this right here, SZ, to scale it up. And then I'm also going to rotate this. Yeah, my voice is good. That's nice. Okay, and then I'm going to go into sculpt mode. I'm going to turn on X symmetry, and now let's sculpt the neck. So for the neck, you always want to make sure to have a bit of bend to the neck. So I'm just going to rotate this like this, and I'll place that right here. So you don't want it to be straight like this. That's a common beginner mistake. So just give it a bit of tilting backwards. And then I'm just going to place it right here. I'll go into sculpt mode. And then I'm just going to shape this. So the neck is narrow at the top, depending on the character actually. The neck is narrow at the top, and then it comes out like this on this side. Okay, and then I'll take a look at this from the front view. Also the same thing, this side is wider and then this side is narrower. Okay, and then I'm going to use the line project brush I'll just chop the bottom of the neck just so that it's flat and nice. I also use the grab brush and just adjust this just a little bit more. Okay, something like that. I'll go into edit mode. I'll use Alt S to increase the size of the neck just a bit. And then I'm going to move this down. I'll use the grab brush and pull this down. All right. Okay, so next thing I'm going to block out is the ear. I'm going to add in another round cube. And then I'm going to scale this down and move this over. SY, I'm going to scale this on the Y axis. And I'll just scale it somewhere like this. So I'm going for an ear shape that looks something like this. So I'll just scale this up, rotate it into the face. And then I'm going to sculpt mode. I'm going to shape the ear a bit from the front view. So something like this. And then I'm going to edit mode. I'll rotate it just because the ear doesn't face the front completely. And then I'm going to sculpt the ear. Okay, and now I'm going to mirror the ear over to the other side. You could use the mirror modifier, but the downside to using the mirror modifier is that you can't actually sculpt on this side of the ear. You can only sculpt on one part. So instead of using the mirror modifier, I'll come up here and I'll use the symmetrize function. So I'm going to symmetrize this. I'll change the direction to +x to -x. And then I'm going to symmetrize. And now I can also sculpt on this side if I need to. I'll make sure to turn on X symmetry so that I can sculpt on both sides. And let's see. Right, so an ear shape like this is going to be good. Okay, someone is asking, please, do you know character again from a single bone? Yeah, I know how to read characters from a single bone, but that's stressful. I recommend using Rigify if you can. Yeah, reading characters from a single bone is a bit difficult. So if you can't, just use Rigify, or always use Rigify if you want to save time. Okay, and what next now? Right, so now we can start sculpting more details on the face. I'm going to select the face and go into the sculpt. And then I'm going to increase the image resolution. 0.05 is where I like to start out from. And then Ctrl R to remesh. Let me actually turn on screen cascade here. Ctrl R to remesh. And then I'm just going to gently smooth out everything. Okay. One thing I like to do is also use the crease polish brush and just mark out that separation between the jaw and the cranium. And then I'm also going to use the crease polish brush while holding down Control. I'm just going to mark out the jawline. So something like this. And now the first place I like to start when sculpting the head is to find the eye line. And the way we do that, so to find the eye line, you just draw a straight line on the head. And then from here to here, the center point somewhere around there is where the eye line is going to be. So I'm just going to use the crease polish brush and I'll just draw it somewhere around here. So you don't have to be accurate with like where the center line is, just somewhere around there is going to be fine. Done. What are your thoughts on technique where some sculptors just trim the sides like the temple part instead of grabbing? I mean, it's just a different technique. There's nothing really bad about it. Any technique is going to work. So anything that you want to use at all, just go ahead and do it as far as it works for you. Yeah. All right. So now I have marked out the eye line and I'm just going to crease it in just a couple of times. Okay. And then I'm also going to mark out the eyebrow line. While holding down Control with the crease polish brush, I'll just mark out the eyebrow line. And based on this reference right here, I think I want the eye line to be a bit lower so that it can be space for the eyes. So I'm just going to use the grab brush. I'll pull this down. Something like this. And I also make some space for the nose, so I'm just going to smooth out this area. So the nose is going to come somewhere around here. Okay, so I'll just grab this and pull this in. And then I'm going to mark out the other plane of the head. So I believe this is what we're asking. You use the trim brush to just trim the sides. So normally I use the spray polish brush to just trim the sides for the temple region of the head. So something like this. Yeah, and this looks nice for now. You can always come back to tweak it if it doesn't look nice. And then I'm just going to plane out the side of the head, something like this. And I want the jawline something like this, so I'm just going to adjust that on this character. I'm going to bring out the jaw, and then I'm going to pull this down just to make the jawline sharper just a bit. Okay, let me also take a look at this from the side view. And yeah, something like this. I'm happy with this, the way this looks. I'm also going to mark out the chin, just like this, and I'm going to bring this out, and I'll just smooth out everything. Okay, this is looking nice. Maybe I'll smooth out the cheeks just a little bit. And from this side, I'm just going to add in a bit more volume right here. Okay, and something like this is fine. All right, so now I'm going to block out the nose. I'm going to use the another round cube. I'm going to add in another round cube. And just in case you're wondering, I've added the round cube and some other tools I use most into my pick favorites. So you can just right click on any tool and add it to your pick favorites. And now I'm going to go into edit mode. I'll scale this down and I'll bring it over here for the nose. I'll rotate this facing the face, and then I'm just going to bring this into the face. Okay, something like this is going to work. I'll just scale this down just a little bit and bring it, pull it into the face. So this should be fine. I'm going to use the grab brush. Make sure symmetry is turned on, and then I'm going to pull out the nose. So I'm taking a look at the reference here. I really like this shape on the nose. So I'll just take a look at the way it's done on the reference, and I'll try to replicate that. James, I would like you to drop a video on making a character from a single bone. Okay? Hopefully, I'll be able to do that. Yeah, of course, I'll be able to do that at some point. I don't know when, but yeah, I'll be able to make a video about that. Okay, so for the nose, I will bring this in a bit. Hello, Igor. I'm not planning on working on topology today. I might not get to the stage of topology in this live stream, so I'm not sure. I just planned on sculpting just the face today. Okay. But hopefully I stream the topology process at some point. Yeah. Okay, so this is the face. This is the block out of the face. This is looking good for now. Also take a look at this other reference here. And I'm also just going to plane out the sides of the head, and I'll smooth this out. The rigging video will be very helpful. Okay, so probably next month I'm going to create a video about rigging. So I already have videos planned out for this month, so probably next month I'll keep that one in the list of videos that I have to make. All right, so I'll definitely be making a video on rigging. All right, so coming back to this nose, probably I'll bring this down here. Yeah, I like the way that's looking. I'll bring this down here, and I'm just going to shape this a bit. And now I'm going to merge the nose and the head together. I'll select this also select the head, Ctrl G to join them together. And then I'll go into sculpt mode. And now we want to remesh them together. I'll just take my remesh resolution up to 0.02 and or 0.03, and then Ctrl R. I'm going to remesh, and then I'm going to smooth out the transition between the nose and the face. And then I'll also use the clay strip brush and just draw out the nose bridge and bridge it into the eyebrow line, just like this. Okay, and then I'll take a look at this from the side, and I want to match my reference a bit. This reference, I'll just pull this down a bit, and I'll also pull this out. Okay, something like that. I'll mark out the eye line just so I don't forget where it is, and I'm going to smooth this out. Okay, I'm also going to mark out the eyebrow line just right there, and I'm also going to mark out the bridge of the nose. Okay, here you go. You love watching me sculpt. It's so satisfying. If you guys don't actually know, Diego is the creator of the Octuple add-on. So that's the automatic lithography add-on that I showed in my last video. So this guy is a genius. I don't know how he created that add-on, but it's a really good add-on. And hopefully I'll be able to stream the topology process at some point. Alright, so I'm going to continue sculpting right here. And yeah, I'm also going to mark out the nostrils. I'm going to use the draw brush. And then I'm just going to mark in the nostrils like so. And I'm also going to pull out the sides of the nose. And I'm just going to bring this down. Okay. And then I'm going to use the crease polish brush. I'm going to mark out the sides of the nose. And I'll just smooth out the transitions right here. Okay, something like that. And now I'm going to start making the place where the mouth is going to be. So I'm going to use the clay shoes brush, and then I'm just going to bulk up where the mouth is going to sit. And then I'm just going to smooth this out. So the mouth doesn't sit on a flat surface. You always want to make sure that the mouth doesn't sit on a flat surface. It actually wraps around the teeth. So we want to make sure that where the mouth is going to be, or where the lip is going to be curved. So just like that. Okay, I'm going to smooth out these transitions just so that I have cleaner shapes. And let me take a look at this from the 3/4 view. So I like the way the face of this model is right here. So I'll just try and do something like that on my character. I'm going to use the grab brush, and then I'm going to pull this in, and then I'll pull the cheekbone, this zygomatic. I'm just going to pull this out just a bit, and I'm going to use the script brush. I'm going to plane out the side of the face. I'm just going to smooth everything out. Okay, I'm also going to smooth out the crease polish brush. I'm also going to mark out the chin, and I'm going to smooth this out. Okay, so this is looking nice. I'm going to adjust the nose just a little bit. Only I'll bring this down a lot more. Yeah, something like that. And then I'm going to mark out the side of the nose. and I'll also mark out the eyeline, just like so. Okay, so probably at this point, I want to add in the eyes. Just before I do that, let me just fix up the shapes around. So I'm constantly looking at this viewport just to get a feel of what the character, of how the character is progressing. And actually, I'll switch to the neck object. I'll add in some more resolution. I'm just going to sculpt on this. Okay, and then I'll also do the same for the ears, just add in some more resolution, and then Ctrl R to remesh this. I'll add in more resolution, and then I'm going to smooth this out. I will put this into the face, and I really like the shape of this ear on the reference. So after I'm going to edit mode, I'm going to rotate this like so, and I'm going to, yeah, so something like this. I'll just place that right there, and I'll go back into sculpt mode, and the changes I just made didn't mirror over to the other side, so we can use the same symmetrize function again, and I'm going to symmetrize the ear. Cool. And now let me keep on tweaking the shape of the ear. I am going to pull this out with the grab brush, and also for the head, I'm going to adjust the way the head looks right here. And I'm going to smooth this out. I'll also adjust the neck, and I'll make sure that the neck flows nicely into the back of the head, just like so. Okay, all right, so now I'm going to add in the eyes. So let me just prepare where the eye is going to sit, and I'm going to mark out the eyeline like so. Okay, and now let's add in the eyes. Okay, Tifa patiently waiting for the next batch, so I'll register. I'm lost. Okay, I'm not, the next batch is probably going to open, probably it's going to open at the ending of this month, probably, still on probability, I'm not yet sure. But if you don't know, it's talking about the mentorship program, so you can just join the wait list, and I'll email you when that is going to happen, probably at the end of this month. I'm not sure yet, so make sure you have joined the wait list just to know when that happens. Here you go. By the way, I always wondered why many sculptors prefer working in flat shading rather than smooth shading. Any thoughts on this? It looks better, to be honest. It looks better to me. Yeah, it just looks better. So if I click and shade this smooth, I just some like artifacts that are on the surface of the model, and I don't like the way that looks, so I'm just going to shade it flat instead. Yeah, it looks better when it's shaded flat, so I'm going to leave it that way. Yeah, until I get to a very comfortable level, like I'm done with the like sculpting and I'm about to get to the topology, as in I like to shade smooth. If not, I'll just leave it as shade flat, just because it looks nicer, no other reason. Okay, I'm going to add in the eyes, and then I'm going to add in a UV sphere. Okay, and then I'll rotate this on the x-axis by 90 degrees. Medusa, love my brother from Tunisia. I learned a lot from you. Cheers, mate. All right, and then I'm going to scale this down. I'm going to move this to the side for the eyes, and then I'm going to bring this down here. I'm also going to rotate this into place. Yeah, something like this. And I'll just mirror this over to the other side. Mirror, I'll use the mirror modifier. So I've currently added the mirror modifier to my prefab, so I can easily select it from there. And then I'll go to the modifier, and then I'm going to add in, I'm going to select the head as the mirror object. I'm going to move this like this, and I'm just rotating the eyeballs to look nice. So something like this, and I'm going to shade smooth. Okay, so one thing I like to do at this stage is to already go in and add in the iris. So I'm just going to paint in the iris, just because for stylish characters, I find that it just gives me a better understanding of how the character is going to be. So I'm just going to go into vertex, actually into edit mode, and I'll select this vertex right here, and I'm going to go into the vertex paint mode. I'll turn on face masking to mask the faces we just selected in edit mode, and then I'll choose a black color on the brush here, and I'll just paint in the eyes. Okay, and now I'll go back into object mode. The color of the eye disappears. We just need to go up to viewport shading, and then I'm going to choose color attributes. Okay, and now once that is done, I'm going to rotate this just a bit more to a place where I like. I'll also do the same thing on this viewport here. I'll change it to color attributes. Okay, and I'm going to select this, the head, and I'll just adjust the area around the eye. I'll use the grab brush. I'm just going to adjust the area around the eye, something like this, and I will also bring this down. Okay, so something like this. Once we add in the eyelids, it should be easier to adjust the way the eye is looking. Okay, so now let's add in the eyelids. I'm going to increase my remesh resolution just a bit, and Ctrl R to remesh, and then I am going to use the draw brush, and then I'm going to draw out the eyelids. I'm going to draw out the upper eyelids, something like this. Okay, that looks nice. And then I'm going to use the grab brush, and I'm just going to pull this in. I'll just adjust the shape of the eyelid. So I want a big eye, just the way it is on the reference here. So something like this. I like the way this eye looks. And I think the corner of the eye is a bit high up. So I'm just going to, on the reference, the corner of the eye is high. So I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to take this up. Yeah, something like this. Okay. And then I'll make sure that the eyelid is wrapping around the eyeballs. Okay, and then I'm going to use the draw brush again to draw out the lower eyelids. I'm going to draw out the lower eyelids just like so. Okay, something like that. And then I'm just going to smooth out the eyelids. Okay, that looks good. And then I'll use the grab brush, and I'm going to adjust the eyes, the eyelids now, not the eyes. And probably I'll pull this closer from the side view, and I'll adjust it from the front view again. I'm going to use the crease polish brush, and I am going to mark out the eyelids just like so. I'll hold down Ctrl and mark out the eyelids, and then I'm going to use the grab brush. I'll pull this into the face, and also the same. So when you're doing the eyelids, you want to make sure that the eyelids wraps around the eyeballs. And I'll just pull this in. Also this side, I'm going to pull this like so. I'm going to use the grab brush, and I'm going to adjust the eyelids just a bit. Okay, so this is looking good for now. I can notice some issues, but I'm going to fix those later. For now, I'll just go ahead and add in the mouth. I'm also going to, before I add in the mouth, I'll use the crease polish brush. I'm just going to mark out the eyebrow line once again. Okay, something like this. And I'm going to smooth this out. Okay, and now let's mark out the lips, or let's make the lips. The lips is actually very simple to do. I'm going to hold down, I'm going to use the crease polish brush, so this brush right here, and then I'm going to mark out the lips. So what I like to do for the lips is to mark out the corners of the lip. So I think somewhere around there is going to work. And then I might use the grab brush, and then I'm just going to bring this down. Something like this. I'll take a look at this reference here just to see how it was done. Okay, and now I am going to mark the lips, separation of the lips. Yep, just the straight line is going to be fine. And now let's mark out the upper lip and the lower lip. I'm going to use the inflate brush, and I'm just going to inflate the top of the lip. So just something like that. And we can use the crease polish brush to mark it out. So something like that. Yeah, I think I like how that's looking. I'm going to pull this out. Okay, something like this is looking good for now. Still need to add in the lower lips. So I'm going to add in the lower lips. I'm also going to do the same exact techniques that we did for the upper lip. I'm going to use the inflate brush. I'm going to inflate the lower lip. And the lower lip is very simple to do. You can already see it start to form right here. So I'm going to add in the lower lip. I'll smooth out the sides. And yeah, something like this is fine. I'm going to use the grab brush. I'll just adjust the shape of the lip just to something that I like. I'm also taking a look at the reference right now. And then I'm going to crease the lower lip, the lip line, just like this. Okay, so now I think I need to take the corners of the lip in just a bit, just from the way it's looking on here. The lips looks like it's coming too forward, so I'm just going to use the grab brush, and then I'm going to pull this in, and probably I'll take that down, something like this. And now we have most things in place, and now it's just a matter of adjusting the shapes till everything starts to work together. So till the eyes, the nose, and the mouth start to work together. So I'm going to start out with the nose. I'm going to bring out the nose shoes, and probably I'll make the nose just a little bit smaller from the front, and I'll probably make the lips bigger too. Yeah, something like this. And then I'm going to, is the stream still working fine? Little bit giving me an error, so just say hi in the chat if the stream is at still working fine. Okay. Let me try to figure that out. So I'm going to go to OBS, and let me see if I can change some of the settings. Is the stream still going smooth? Just you guys let me know. And okay, I don't know. So I'm just going to continue sculpting. Hopefully the stream is doing well. If it's not, my bad. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to continue sculpting right now. And for this character, I'm going to add in the eyebrows. Okay, the stream is good. Okay, fine. Okay, good. Right. And now I'm just going to plane out the size of the head. Okay, so the face of the character is coming along nicely. I like the way it's going now. I'm going to adjust the neck just a bit. And then I'm also going to use the line project brush, and I'll just mark out I'm just going to cut the sides of the neck, and I'll also adjust the neck from the side view. I'm going to put a really nice curved shape on the neck, and then I'm going to adjust this. Okay, so I like the way the shape of the neck is looking right now. Okay, so I'm going to adjust the face just a bit. I'm going to use Shift T to adjust, to switch to the script polish brush, and then I'm going to plane out the sides of the face just a bit. Which version of Blender are you running on? I'm currently running on Blender 4.4. Yeah, I haven't switched to the latest version of Blender, which is Blender 4.5. I'm yet to do that. I don't know why I've not switched yet, but yeah, Blender 4.4 is what I'm on right now. Okay, and then I'm just going to mark out that separation between the jaw and the cranium again. Okay, so now let's sculpt in the ears just a little bit. I'm going to switch to the ear. I'm going to use the grab brush and just pull this just a bit. And then I'm going to remesh this to 0.01. Control R to remesh. And then I'm going to use the grab brush. Okay, so for the ears, I'm going to use the lasso mask brush. I'm going to check front faces only, and then I'm going to select the part of the ear that I want to go inside. So I'm just making a selection like this. So what front faces only just does is make sure that I don't select at the back. So it select only the front faces, just as the name implies. And I'm going to invert this mask with Control I. And then I'm going to bring this in. Okay, so this is how I like to sculpt the ears. Nothing too fancy. And then I'm going to clear the mask. I'm going to Control R to remesh this. And then I'm just going to adjust the shape of this ear. Smooth out everything. And then I'm going to adjust the shapes right here, just so that it looks nicer. Also adjust the shape from this view. And then I'm going to use the crease polish brush, and I'm going to mark out the sides, the inside of the ear. So just something like this. And then I'm also going to use the crease polish brush while holding down Control. I'm going to mark out, on the crease polish brush, hold down Control, and then mark out the edge of the ear, just like this. And then I'm just going to smooth this out. Also bring this out like so. And then I can remesh this with Control R. And I'm just going to adjust the shape of this ear. So I like the way, somewhat like the way it's looking from here. I just adjust it a bit from the front view. And I'm going to make sure that the ear is not crooked like this on this side. So I'm just going to use the grab brush and try to adjust this. And then I'm going to smooth it out. Okay, someone is asking later, can you show how to rig a clothed character and how you do weight painting? Okay, so probably I'll show you my last character that I worked on before this stream is over, so stay tuned. And then someone is it possible if I use a different image and still follow what they're doing? Yeah, it's possible, definitely possible. You just have to be able to observe your reference and transfer it to your sculpt. But yeah, it's definitely possible to use a different image for what I'm doing. Okay, and now I'm just going to adjust this here. And let me add this detail right here. I'm going to use the draw brush. I'm just going to draw out that detail like this. I'm going to smooth out this transition right here. And then I'm going to use the grab brush to adjust that. And then I'm going to use the crease polish brush to mark out these parts once again. I'll use the grab brush again and just make this more rounded. I'll probably take this to right here with the crease brush, so something like this. Okay, and yeah, that's looking okay for now. Let's still come back and refine it. Most of this is still in like the early stage, so I'm still going to come back and refine most of these. And then I'm just going to inflate this part of the ear just so that it has the same thickness as the top part. I'm just inflating this side. Okay, yeah, something like that looks good for the ear. And I'll adjust the overall shape of the ear using a big grab brush. Okay, so now I'm going to add in the eyebrows and the eyelashes just so that this character can look a bit more human. So I'm going to add the eyebrows. I'm going to add Shift A and add in the eyebrows. And then in edit mode, I'm going to rotate this on the x-axis by 90 degrees. I'm going to move this forward. I'm also going to scale it down. And GZ, I'll move this up and to the left side of the character. And I'm going to turn on snapping. I'm going to turn on face project. And I'll also turn on affect and rotate. I'll also make it to affect the rotation and the scale. Make sure it's turned on. And then I'm going to snap this here. And yeah, I'm just going to start extruding to the side. Just very simple basic modeling. I'm going to scale this down. And I am going to bring this way. I'm also going to add another loop cut right here, just so that I can snap to the surface a bit better. And I'm also going to add a new loop cut in the middle right here. Okay, and then I'm going to add a mill modifier. I'll also add a solidify modifier. And then I'm going to increase the solidify option. And now the magic is going to happen when we change the color of this material. So I'm just going to reduce this, and you can see the difference that makes on the character. So without the eyebrows, or when the eyebrows is white, and then when I bring it down to black, so the eyebrow adds a lot to the character. So it's really nice to add eyebrows to your characters early on. So I'm just going to bring this down here. Okay, so this eyebrow is a bit too high right now. I'm going to select everything and I'm going to move it down somewhere around here. And I'm going to use the grab brush, and I'm going to just adjust this with the grab brush, something like this. Okay, and then I'm also going to add in the eyelashes. Okay, someone is asking, James, is it good to use multi-resolution on a loop poly mesh for sculpting, or just use the remesh? So this completely depends on what you are doing. But if it's a low poly mesh, yeah, definitely use the multi-res. Probably you're planning on baking it, so yeah, you can use multi-res then you can bake it afterwards. But yeah, I always, mostly for what I'm doing, I have to use the remesh, so I don't like to use the multi-rays just because. And yeah, so I mostly use the remesh. Okay, so now I'm going to make the eyelashes. I'm going to go into edit mode on the eyebrows. Then I'll just duplicate one of these vertex from here, and then I'm just going to extrude this along the eyelids. So I'm just extruding this right here, something like this. I'm going to hide the eyes just so that I can extrude the other parts of the eyelashes. I'm just following the same number of vertices I already extruded before, and now we can just fill this in while holding down F. So if we select this face, these edges right here, you can press F to fill them in, and then you can just keep pressing F until you fill everything in. I'm going to unhide the eyes, and yeah, the character is starting to come together. I'm going to go into sculpt mode on the eyelashes, and then I'm just going to adjust this. Okay, so something like this is looking good. And now I'm going to work on the face a bit more to refine the face. And yeah, so I'm going to Alt Q to switch to the head model, and then I'm going to script this. I'm going to plane this out. Yeah, I like how that's looking. I'm going to use the grab brush here, and then I'm going to pull in these cheeks just a little bit more. Okay, so I like how the face, this angle of the face, just like the way we had it in this reference right here. So I like this angle going on the face, so this right here. Yeah, I like the way that looks. And I'm just going to keep on refining the face. So I'm taking a look at it from all angles. So when you're sculpting, you want to make sure to take a look at the model from all angles, and don't just get focused on just the front and the side. So you want to take a look at it from all angles and make sure it looks good from every angle possible. So I'm just going to adjust the cheek. Okay, and then I'm going to smooth this out. I don't want a hard edge on the face. And then I'm also going to plane out the under of the face, and I'm going to plane this out just to solidify the jaw a bit more. I'll also plane out the sides here too. I'll use the spray brush and also plane out the sides of the face. And then I'm going to sculpt this one. And I'm going to bring this down just a bit. And now I'm going to increase my remesh resolution just a bit, and then I'm going to refine the face model. So I'll take the remesh resolution up to 0.01. Okay, and then Ctrl R to remesh this. And now I'm just going to isolate the head object. Okay, just like this. And what I want to start doing at this stage is just to refine the surface quality of the sculpt. So I'm going to C, and then I'm just going to create this. I'm just going to add in a bit more volume here. I'm going to smooth this out. Okay, and now I'm going to focus on the eyes just a bit. I'm going to mark out the crease on the upper eyelid. And I'm also going to mark out the crease on the eyelids just like this. And I'll also do the same for the lower eyelids. Okay, And then I'm going to bring this in. All right, I'm also going to smooth out the shapes on the nose and the mouth, and then I'm just going to refine this a bit more. So now I'm going to mark out the lips right here. And then I'm going to mark out the corner of the mouth, just like this. And then I'm going to smooth this side out. I'm going to smooth right here out. Okay. And then I'm going to use the crease polish brush. I'm going to mark this, the upper lip. Okay, so that's starting to look good. Yeah, I like the way that's looking. And then I'm going to use the inflate brush. And I'm just going to inflate this part right here. So I want to make sure that the lip is not flat. So I'm just going to add in a bit of volume to it just to make it rounded. And then I'm going to smooth this out like so. And then I'm also going to mark this out again. Okay, yeah, that's starting to look good. And then I'm also going to mark out the chin and the lower lip. And then I'm going to add in a bit of volume right here. And then I'm going to smooth that out. Okay, and yeah, it's starting to look good. I like the way the mouth is looking right now. Let me work on the nose a bit. I'm going to adjust the shapes of this. I'm going to use the crease brush, and I'm going to mark out the nostrils. And probably I'll make this wider just a bit, and I'll bring down the shape. So yeah, I think I like the way this is looking. I'm going to add in the crease polish brush. I'm going to use the crease brush and just add in a bit of volume right here. And I'm going to transition the nose nicely into the nose bridge and into the rest of the face. And yeah, I like the way that's looking for now. And I'm going to work on the eyes a bit more. I'm going to hold down control and mark out the eyelids. And then I'm going to bring this in. Okay, so let me take a look at the chart. Is the attention to details for me? This was how God settled and created us, of course. And then, please, Kenny, why do you use 150mm for the focal length? I see others using around 70 or 90. So, okay, I'm just going to show you why I like to use the focal length of 150. So if I take this back to the default, which is actually 50. So you can see, sorry, did I change that? Yes. So you can see, okay, I'll go to the perspective view, and this is not really nice for sculpting. The focal length of 50, it's not really nice for sculpting just because it distorts the face just a little bit. So it's going to be difficult to work in this view with this focal length. So the default is not really good. So 90 might work. So taking it to 90. Yeah, 90 is not as distorted, but it's also a bit distorted, distorted. So I just like to take it all the way up to 150. 150 is what works best for me. If you like the way it looks at 90 or 70, then you can go ahead and use it. But I just like to use 150 because it just looks, the face doesn't distort as much, and yeah, it just looks much nicer for me. So you can use 70, just experiment with whatever value you want to use. Okay, and what next? Okay, I'm going to mark out the eyelids. Just going to bring this in. I'm going to mark out the lower eyelids. So just like this. Okay. Something like that, it's fine. Okay, and I like the way this face is looking right now. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm going to adjust the eyebrows just a bit more. So I'm just seeing which shape of eyebrow is going to work on this character right now. I'm going to edit mode. I'll select these faces and make sure that they are snapped to the face of the sculpt. Okay, and this is looking nice. This is looking nice. I'm going to now merge everything together. I'm going to merge the ear, the neck, and the head together. So I'll select all of them. I'll select the head, the neck, the ear, and the head, and Ctrl J to join them together. And then I'm going to go into edit mode, into sculpt mode, and then I'm going to remesh this value of 0.009. Ctrl R to remesh, and then I'm going to use the clay shoes brush, and I'm going to smooth out the transitions right here. I'm just going to smooth out this part here. And also at the back of the neck, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to smooth out the transitions right here. And then I'm going to smooth this out. And I'm just smoothing everything out just to make them transition nicely into each other. I'm also going to smooth out this area here. So with the clay shoes brush, just smoothing out everything. Okay, so I'm happy with the face, with the way this face looks. And yeah, this is what I plan to do on stream today. So I think I'm currently done. But yeah, before I go, I'm going to show you the other file, my last character I worked on, just because someone asked the question. So yeah, I'm going to go into, actually going to save this because I have not saved. So I'm going to, how do I name this girl? Just name this girl. And then I'm going to open up my last character project. Okay, I see a question here. Kenny, are you from Ghana? No, I'm not from Ghana. I'm from Nigeria. Yeah. And then another question, will you ever do a tutorial on texture painting characters like this, please? Probably when I go to the texturing phase of this character, I'll make it as a tutorial. So yeah, I'll keep that in mind, but that will be next month, no longer this month. Yeah, I've already planned out videos I want to make for this month, so that will probably be next month. So a rigging tutorial and a texture painting tutorial, I'll keep those two in mind. Okay, so now let me open up my file. I'm just going to, where did I drop that file now? Okay, let's give it a moment to open up. Okay, so this was the last project that I worked on, and I'm going to show you how I rigged the clothes. So for the rigging of the clothes, I didn't actually do much rigging. I'm also going to turn on simplify. I didn't do much rigging. Let me bring up the timeline. Right here. And I'm going to take the start frame to 0. And I believe they are keyframes on the rig. Okay, yeah, I'll take this back to 0, to a keyframe of 0. And I'll also hide the environment so that we don't see that. So this cloth is completely weighted to the rig with automatic weights. I didn't do any weight painting on this character because on this clothes, because I knew I'm going to be using cloth simulation. So if I play this animation, I'm going to hide the hair, and then if I play the animation, yeah, there's a bit of cloth simulation on the clothes because I did not want to do any rigging. And I also use shape keys to fix the strap of this character. So I use shape keys to fix the strap handle. So I don't do much rigging on clothing, but it's very what I used here was cloth simulation. So this is the body collider mesh. I just duplicated it from the character and used it as a collider for the clothes. So yeah, that's how I rigged the clothes. I would like to show you guys other things on this character, but I only planned this stream for 1 hour, so I'm going to go right now. So I'm just going to check the comments if there are any other questions before I go. If you guys have any other questions, I'm going to answer them before I go right now. I'm about to leave. So okay, I see a question here. How do you find clients? Okay, to find clients, just post your work. If you are looking for clients, post your work online, then reach out to people also. I'm not the best at this topic, but if you want to find clients, just post your work. Yeah, on Instagram is where I find, or it's where most clients find me, and then you can also try reaching out to other people. Okay, so any other questions before I end the live stream? This was actually my first live stream, so it was nice to see all of you guys come out here and hang out. So thank you guys for that. And any other thing? Okay, so please don't forget, we'll be waiting for you to drop the rigging tutorial. Have a good day. Okay, yeah, I'll drop the rigging tutorial next month, so yeah, stay tuned for my next, or the video I'll release after this week is going to be a breakdown of this character. So I'm going to break down the whole process. So yeah, thank you for your answers, Kenny. Okay, how can you reach me personally? You can DM me on Instagram. My handle is, I'm just going to type the handle in the chat. You can DM me on Instagram if you want to. My Instagram handle is at Kenny's Arts _. So yeah, that is my Instagram handle, Kenny's Arts _. So yeah, you find me on Instagram. So send me a DM. Princess says thank you for the stream. All right, so I'm going to be ending the stream right now. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later. Cheers. The stream ended.